This Coast to Coast Entertainment Network program is brought to you by Beside Me Bracelets. Our bracelets are handmade for any occasion. Use the promo code Coast to Coast for 15% off. Visit their website at besideme.com. Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry. With 24-hour shopping available, use the code 160920 and show her some love, like she showed us. Reaper Apparel Company, a commitment to live your most authentic way every single day. Visit reaperapparelco.com for more information and a look at all of their apparel offerings. And by Good Day Embroidery, your local source for custom embroidery, screen printing, and more. Log on to gooddayembroidery.com for more information.
Hello, excuse me. That's a way to start. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sports Hour here on Coast to Coast Entertainment Network. Be sure to like, follow, subscribe on the channel. And of all the programs, we'll go through a list of them right now. We had Rankum this morning. Excuse me. I was able to catch some of that. They were going through the, I think it was like dream matches, I believe it was. They had men and women. So I got to hear some of that before going off to work. So check out that every Wednesday morning. That's the one show I keep forgetting to talk about. Thursdays, kicking it and sometimes creeping it real. Friday night, we got an entertainment hour. Sunday morning tailgate for the NFL season. Monday, coast to coast at night, and then Tuesday, game night whenever possible. We're all really busy, so if we're not doing a show, there's a good reason why. With me, Crispy Bacon. How are you?
I am good. Doing good. Glad to be back on and talking a lot of sports.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, like always. Lot going on. Always something going on. Of course, in the NFL, I guess the big story was Trevor Lawrence getting hit by Al Shazier, illegally.
Yeah,
and yeah, that's what I thought I read. I was going to check with you if Trevor Lawrence is on the IR, which I guess, that's the safe precautionary thing there. There's no reason for him to be playing anymore this season. The Jags are 2-10, 2-11. So they really don't need to be playing anyway.
They're eliminated.
Yeah. Everything's starting to wind down. Like the Raiders are eliminated, the Giants are eliminated. And yeah, Jaguars, of course, as well. It's unfortunate to see. But let's have a Week 13 recap real quick. Let's start off with the Bears and the Lions, if you can believe that, on Thanksgiving. And it was actually a really close game. I was shocked as heck to see that. It didn't start off that way. The Lions were up 16-0. They got an array of penalties, and they were not doing well at first. And then Chicago came back. The problem was the last minute or so was just, or last 36 seconds was just not maintained well. They could have called it. They had one timeout left, but they didn't call it to set up another play. And they just let the clock run out and throw a pass in the corner of the end zone, and then there were double zeros, and that was it. The Lions held on to win 23-20. So that led to the next day of the firing of Matt Eberflus, the head coach of Chicago Bears.
He had to come in though.
Yeah, I think it was like overdue.
It was overdue, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one thing I noticed, that it could have happened a while back and it didn't. And again, it was weird because Bears drafted another quarterback, but had the same coach around. They did it the same thing with Justin Fields and Matt Nagy, I believe it was, and the same thing happened with Chicago. All right, so another entertaining game on Thanksgiving. It was kind of a shocking entertaining game too. The Giants were in Dallas, and for more on that, Chris, how
Yeah.
did your team do?
Hey, if you can believe it, win number 2. I guess that's bittersweet because you want to have a good draft position. I think they came into that game at the 9th spot. Finished out at 11th. But hey, 2 wins is 2 wins. Um, we're getting some players back healthy, even though we kind of had few players, suffer some injuries. Dak's lobbying to keep McCarthy in.
Wow.
I don't know why, but hey, crazy stuff happens. Um, I'm not going to be shocked if he stays, but I'm not going to be shocked if he leaves. 'Cause that's
That would, yeah.
and
And
and leading up to that game, Daniel Jones was cut by his request.
right, he ended up on the Vikings, right?
Yeah,
I was trying to remember where he ended up, and it was good for him to find a spot.
he'll be the
You know,
quarterback next year.
Vikings, they with that move, and Giants like paying for the rest of it, but you have to wonder what they're going to do. With the way that Sam Darnold's doing well, but you also have Daniel Jones there, and then JJ McCarthy, who you drafted. He did get hurt, in preseason.
Yeah, but not Bradford, their current quarterback,
Sam
Darnold,
Darnold.
he's a free agent.
Yeah, so there. That's like a long.
And that's why I was joking. I said, watch Daniel Jones be the starter.
That would be crazy if that happened. I love that JJ McCarthy.
Oh yeah, but it depends on how well he, recovers.
Totally. And then the last game of Thanksgiving, I thought it was going to be fun, but it was Tua and the Dolphins in Lambeau to face the Packers.
It was fun for Green Bay.
Yeah, it was fun right away. Started off very well. Ended up being 30-17. Miami scored some points later on. But Josh Jacobs had a great game. Love managed the game. And again, Tua in the cold, not a good mix. And
Dolphins can't play in the cold. Not just
no.
Tua.
So Tua's 0 for 6 in games 40 degrees or cooler. It just makes you think every playoff that they're in, eventually they're going to have to go, north where it's cold. And,
Except for
they're
Minnesota and Detroit.
Yeah, but they're in the NFC. But for the playoffs, they have to get home field. If they don't, they're screwed. You saw last year they were at Arrowhead, one of the coldest games of history, and of course they couldn't do anything. They were just stuck pretty much. All right, so Black Friday happened, and it was kind of a shocker the way that the game went. Not really the ending, but the Black Friday game was the Raiders at the Chiefs, and credit to the Raider defense. They did so well, uh, maintaining Mahomes up until the running game got free with Pacheco. And they made some other key passes, and that led the Chiefs to get the win. But the thing is, the Raiders screwed up at the end. You can blame the referees all you want. The fact that a fumble happened, the center, the right guard tapped the center to snap the ball when Aiden O'Connell, the quarterback, wasn't ready. And yes, you could say the officials blew it because one called a false start and then one called a fumble, illegal shift, and thought the play was going. And you could say the Chiefs got helped out again by the referees. I don't know what to think about it, Chris. But the Raiders only lose by 2, 19-17.
Yeah, I mean, the Chiefs are good. There's no question about that. But I think the officiating, and I'm not in the NFL, thank goodness, doing broadcasting and all that, but I think there's a little handshake deal, maybe. I don't know.
It's
And this will
entertainment.
probably be on record, and I probably won't have a job there. But hey,
Yeah, I don't know what to think. I mean, it's sometime obvious. I still remember a couple years ago that playoff game against Cincinnati, how there was that third down that wasn't.
yeah,
It was like a 3rd and long for Kansas City, and they blow the play dead, even though it was an incomplete pass. And they say, "Oh yeah, it was a inadvertent whistle. I didn't mean to blow my whistle." And then they convert the 3rd down, and then they go on to win the game. So it's little things like that that just make you think.
and,
All right,
and,
yeah,
and especially now, Kansas City and Buffalo are in the playoffs.
yeah,
They're
we might
playing.
have those two definitely got in. More to come for sure. The Sunday action. We'll go through these real quick. Chargers defeated Atlanta 17-13. Kirk Cousins had 4 picks. It was just ridiculous.
I'm
I mean,
retired.
paid him all that money to do that, and the talk was, do you go to Penix Jr. even though you paid Kirk all that money? But I don't think this late in the season you can make that move. Maybe what I thought, after like 4 weeks, if Kirk is doing this crap, then okay, yeah, you do it. But it's too late now, I think.
Well, I think once the team is officially eliminated, you put out Penix Jr.
But that's going to go down to the last week though with Tampa Bay. That they're playing for the playoffs. It's not like they're playing the season out.
Yeah, but unless another team plays early enough, like if they have an early game and you have a late game, if you know you're already eliminated.
That's true. At the end of the year, yeah. Mm-hmm. Last game, I mean. Pittsburgh held on to beat Cincinnati 44-38. This was an absolute shootout. Good back and forth offensive game. But the defense for both teams took the day off. And you can also say this. The Steelers, they were able to hold on, but they did pretty well. But, man, the Cincinnati Bengals, they have like one of the worst defenses out there. They have the best offense, but one of the worst defense. It was absolutely crazy. Houston defeated Jacksonville again. We talked about Trevor Lawrence getting hit illegally, and he's out for the remainder of the season. But Houston got the important divisional win, 23-20. Minnesota held on to beat Arizona 23-22. That was a really fun game there. Harrison Jr. hooked up with Murray for a touchdown, but Sam Darnold did enough to get the win on Sunday. Same thing pretty much with Indy and New England. Indy held on to beat the Patriots, but that was also a good defensive battle. AR had a couple touchdowns, but a couple of picks as well. Seattle defeated the Jets 26-21. That was a fun game for Seattle because their defense got involved. It was a really fun game for Leonard Williams, who played in that stadium for both teams. And he had a 93-yard interception return for a touchdown. That was pretty cool to see that. Geno Smith got the comeback or revenge game win against the Jets and the Giants. He played both, and so both of them got the revenge there. Seattle now first place for the NFC West. Washington blew out Tennessee 42-19. Now that was more like it when you saw that. That was really great to see. Tampa Bay defeated Carolina. That was a great overtime win for Tampa Bay. But Carolina, you got to give it up to the Panthers. They've been playing very well as of late. Bryce Young's playing well. Adam Thielen had a one-hand catch to send that game to overtime. That was fun. The Rams held on 21-14 in New Orleans. And the Rams need that game to stay alive, I think. And New Orleans is just falling slightly down. Taysom Hill, I believe it was. Yeah. Taysom Hill is out for the season. He had a bad injury there. Philly beat Baltimore is a battle of like the running backs and the quarterbacks. That was 24-19 Philly. They held on. Justin Tucker, I think, had 3 missed field goals out of 4, I want to say. That's a big problem going into the playoffs. In snowy Buffalo, Christian McCaffrey hurt himself, and he'll be out. The PCL injury, that's the back of the knee. He won't be back this season. For the Niners, they lost 35-19 in Buffalo. It was
In the
fun
snow.
for the Bills. And then quickly, the Monday night game, Denver held on to beat Cleveland, and that was actually a really fun game. Both defenses showed up pretty well, but after a while, the points were high. 42-31 or 41-32. Denver won the Monday Night Football game, and that was a lot of fun. So, what's great here? We have Chrissy Wilson and of course Callie McClurg here. Had to run through those scores real quick, but how's everyone doing? Starting with Chrissy.
I'm doing good, just chilling. That's all.
Yeah, and then Callan, good to see you.
Yeah, good to see everyone. Had to take a couple days off just to kind of catch my breath after the long pre and post Thanksgiving holiday, but figured I'd jump on here for a little bit here on this Wednesday evening. Good to see everybody though.
Yeah, everybody hopefully staying cool. We were just going through the football scores, of course, from Thanksgiving, the week 13 scores. Chrissy Wilson, maybe you want to talk about how your team did with the Cowboys on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, Giants versus the Cowboys. That was a pretty awesome game considering Drew Lock got word that he was going to be starting about 24 hours before because of Tommy DeVito being injured. That's crazy, but he didn't do too bad, but we just did better than they did.
Yeah, your running back, I forget the dude's name, number 23.
Rico Dowdle.
Yeah, he had a great game, I saw.
He did.
At Drew Lock, he was running for the end zone a couple of times. That was great to see.
He's athletic, but he goofed up a good deal.
Yeah, and then the defense did well.
They did.
What's his name? Overshawn?
DeMarvion Overshawn. Yeah, that's him.
That guy had a star game.
He did.
I love his last name too. That pops out.
The ball and then it drops in his hands and he's off to the end zone for a touchdown.
And that was a lot of fun to see that.
It was.
Callan, did you check out anything this week for NFL football? I doubt it.
No, I watched a bit of Red Zone on Sunday, and that's about it. Again, I don't sit through full games anymore like I used to with the NFL leaving town. But no, I was intently watching the last drive of the Bears though on Thursday from Knott's Berry Farm. I'm like, they're going to do it again, aren't they? And sure enough, a couple hours later, they finally fire Matt Eberflus. Hallelujah, if you're a Bears fan.
Ooh, yeah, that's a first for them.
It's weird because I was thinking the Cowboys were going to do the same thing, but Jerry didn't want to pull the trigger.
No, the only time he's ever really pulled the trigger in the middle of the season was 2010 when he fired Wade Phillips and had Jason Garrett step in, and that.
Yeah, and the Bears hadn't, the Bears hadn't done it either. But I think though, all the reports I'd gathered though, coming out of Thanksgiving Day and over the weekend, just like it became players versus the coach. Ownership made the coach the fall guy. He's fired.
All right.
In this case, though, how much of it is it Ryan Poles' fault, the GM, of how the team has been doing?
I mean, it could be. I mean, I think he gets a fair amount of blame. I mean, assembling a very great offense with Williams, Keenan Allen, who still has something left in the tank somehow, DJ Moore, and other players. But, the offensive line is still shaky. Caleb Williams, you can tell, is still holding on to the ball for too long, what I've seen in spurts of when they played. Defense has basically done their job. And, I mean, the only problem, though, that I would probably have with them is all these late fourth quarter comebacks. You have quarter 1, 2, and 3. Why do you wait to the last minute to actually do something? So
that's a question I'd like to ask the Chiefs, actually.
Yeah, but I think at the end of the day, it just kind of boils down, though, to Chicago. It felt like it. I mean, I don't know if it was really a throwaway year, but it sure seemed like it was in a way. But I just think, though, with how they've lost in, the Hail Mary fashion, the block field goal against Green Bay, the late comeback versus Minnesota, recovering the onside kick on top of Carlos Santos tying the game, but then they don't score on the opening drive. Vikings win the game there, losing to Green Bay again, as I said, with that blocked field goal. Now here coming back against Detroit, and, clock management was absolutely awful. And, I think finally that the players said, enough's enough of us losing games like this. It's not our fault. Yeah, it could be, but, usually in sports, guys, we all know that the coach becomes the fall guy.
Mm-hmm.
Happens.
That's unfortunate. Speaking of Detroit, they have a Thursday night game tomorrow. I cannot wait for that. They host Green Bay. Both teams coming in pretty hot. Green Bay has won 3 games in a row, but Detroit has won at least their last 5. I think last 7 or 8, I want to say. They've survived some games, but they've also blown out some people. So it's funny how that's gone. This game, though, it's like the Lions are really banged up front, but they still have the potent offense. They just have to stop making these penalties that really hurt, like it did on Thanksgiving. That's why the Bears got back in it. For Green Bay, though, they've had a lot of both teams have had some time off since Thanksgiving, or since the game on Thanksgiving. Last time we saw Green Bay, the rushing attack was really great with Josh Jacobs. Jordan Love wasn't making bad throws. He's making decisive throws. So that was really good to see. For this one, I really, they have the Bears. The Lions favored. I think just by a little, 3.5. I would have to go Lions at least by 5, but or by 4 on this game. Chris, how do you think this game is going to end up tomorrow? Green Bay at Detroit.
Detroit by 30. Detroit's gonna win it.
You think? I mean, all the weapons that Jared Goff has at his disposal. I mean, understandable why you'd probably think 30.
I wonder. This has probably been the best season for the Lions in since 1934, at least the best record they've had. Everything goes back to 34 and 1991 for the Lions, it seems like. Chrissy, what about you? How do you think this Thursday night game is going to end up?
This is probably going to be a battle because you got Jordan Love for Green Bay, Jared Goff for the Lions. Both teams, I think, are pretty equally. They measure up equally, so I think this could be one of those games where last team that gets the ball wins the game.
Yeah, the Packers, of course, they're 2 behind in the division with 5 games to go, so it's going to be interesting to see. Callan, what do you think right here? Do you think the Lions hold on, or do you think the Packers run out of Ford Field with an upset win?
No, I kind of feel like Detroit's kind of got everything going for them right now, like Christy said about all the offensive artillery at Jared Goff's disposal. Dan Campbell, I think, is really done wonders in a couple of years in Detroit again, making that city believe in the Lions after all the years of Tigers, Red Wings, Bad Boy Pistons. So definitely the Lions being good, though, is good. And I think it's all, it goes from Dan Campbell all the way down to the rest of the players. Again, I don't watch a lot of the NFL, but I would hope, though, that this would be a game that comes down to, I think Christy is onto a fair point. I think it's going to be last team who gets the ball, but give me the Lions by a field goal.
Same.
They play well at home. Ford Field's
they
kind of
do.
a tough
I mean,
place
it's
to play for
Ford
the
Field.
opposition.
They can't go wrong there.
They've lost once at home, and I think once in the season, and it was to the Buccaneers. It was the wild card rematch, I believe it was. And Baker and the Bucks came to Detroit and beat them. That seems like a long time ago. It was over 2 months ago. All right. So I know it's the off season for MLB, but there was a topic I just could not be more confused about, and I hope it just never happens. But Rob Manfred, the commissioner, was saying for MLB, there is buzz around adding a golden at-bat rule to Major League Baseball. This rule would allow a team to choose one at-bat in every game to use their best hitter regardless of where they are in the lineup. And I'm thinking to myself, this isn't Little League. This isn't a pinch hitter or pinch runner. It's not a video game. It's not a home run derby.
It's not MLB show.
MLB, MTV Rock Jock Jams. It's nothing like that. Rock, whatever it was called back in the day.
It's not Banana Ball.
No.
Yeah. See, they were comparing it to that, and I haven't watched the Savannah Banana game, but I really want
It's
to.
on YouTube.
Yeah,
It's
I
on
will
YouTube.
check it out one day. But right away, I got to ask Callum McClure because he's a big fan of MLB. Like I kind of am, but not as much, I don't think. But when you hear this rule about having the golden at bat rule where you could just say, hey, Shohei, go hit it, even though we're at the bottom, or no, what would be like number 6 in the lineup, you have Tommy Edman hitting, but you have bases loaded, 2 outs. Let's just have Shohei hit, whatever. And then what happens if the person you want hitting is at second base or at first base or at third base? Like, are they going to add a pinch runner so that guy can go hit? I'm trying to figure out how this rule would work. I don't know, Callan, how you would feel about this.
Absolutely not. I don't want this to become a thing. It's bad enough that baseball's already watered down the product with the pitch clock and how long that the commercial breaks are in between innings, the pitch clock. Yeah, might as well add a golden ball for the home run derby, like Tim said as well. They've done that in the past when Century 21 sponsored it. Now it's the pink ball or magenta ball for T-Mobile. I know it goes to cancer research 9 times out of 10 when they do that. Mm-hmm. But I saw something from a page that said, well, hey, the NFL, the NBA, the NHL, Major League Soccer, like the best players always usually score, when it's like that's not how it works in a roundabout way. Right. There is a rule for a reason in baseball called batting out of order. Like that's already a rule in place. Now we're going to go back in time and change the rule from when baseball first began being played in the 1870s.
No.
I think if that happens, though, more people turn off baseball. I just don't think that like I said, they've already done enough as is. The ghost runner on second base, the pitch clock is during the course of the game, ghost runner on second base for extra innings, all the other stuff that's going on. Baseball has more problems, guys, like Oakland going to Sacramento and the Rays not having a dome ballpark. That's more of a concern that I have than about further watering down the on-field product, as if it's already bad enough where, LA can afford to buy basically every big-name player now. Yes, I know that the Padres have tried that, but we don't have unlimited money coming out of Brinks trucks, and unlimited credit cards with no interest on them. Yeah. So with this, though, baseball has their priorities all out of whack, if you ask me, when it boils down to, we're more concerned about adding a rule change to allow any team's best guy to come up to the plate rather than figuring out what we're going to do with Sacramento, St. Petersburg, and the A's eventually going to Las Vegas. Like the priorities are all out of whack. Case in point, don't even bother. Like, just stop. If that really does happen, a lot of people will again turn off watching baseball.
Yeah, and I don't mind the ghost runner in the regular season. It gets the games over quicker. Of course, I don't have to worry about my team going to
kind of like the NHL going 5-minute overtime into a shootout where you're not playing 20-minute consecutive overtime periods.
Yeah, I like that.
Got a point there.
Tim mentions MLB is grasping at straws at this point.
They are.
Yeah.
And I love this part because I thought in the NBA All-Star game, they should have a 4-point line just to try it out.
Oh god!
Yeah, James, we talked about that last Monday about what they could do. I'm like, I don't know.
Well, doesn't the big three have that?
I think
in spots, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
and Trotters do too, in case anyone's wondering.
Right.
Okay.
And again, I like the thing about Wemby yesterday. I was watching that game. I know we were talking MLB, but it was like, get your ass down in the paint. You're 7'4". Like they can't block you. And he's coming off picks, going right to the 3-point line and shooting. Like Imagine Wemby shooting a 4-point shot. It's
No, I don't even want to.
And if he hits it, the damn arena's going to go bonkers.
Yeah, the roof's going to explode pretty much.
I mean, the game is so bad already with all the 3-point shots. It's just.
I can't even watch an NBA game nowadays. There's so many 3-pointers, it makes me ill.
Like I'll shoot 3-pointers
I
because
can't
I'm
stand
short.
it.
Like
Too
when I play
much.
street ball, I'm short,
Mhm.
so I have to shoot 3-pointers. But I don't understand these big dudes shooting it. So it's just that's a whole nother story. But Chris, when you heard about this possibly being a rule, what Ranger would you choose to send up? And of course, it should be one answer.
I think Seager.
Yeah, especially if he's
Right.
hot like in 2023.
But I wouldn't like the rule in general. If you're gonna change a rule or add a rule, I would put like you guys were saying, maybe a shootout kind of thing. You do a mini home run derby in overtime. In overtime,
Oh.
In extra innings.
yeah.
Yeah. Because it would be like a 3-point. Imagine a 3-point shootout in NBA overtime. Well, I do like the G League. It's like the first to 7 points. Like they have a elim ending like the basketball tournament does.
Mhm.
I've been going to a lot of the San Diego Clipper games, and they have this overtime ending where, hey, the first one to score 7 points wins.
That's a good point.
So I love that part because I get to go home earlier. But for Chrissy, this rule, again, like Callum mentioned, it just feels like it would water down the sport even more. It would add drama to it because people say, well, hey, they still have that at bat where they can put up whomever they want.
Oh yeah.
Like, Devers or, Duran for the Red Sox.
Right.
Juan
Trevor Story.
Soto's out there. Do you think this rule would be exciting, but do you think it would also water down the game?
It would definitely water it down. And when I first heard it, I was like, I don't like it, and I don't even know what the heck it's about. I just don't like it.
Just pick your best player.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pick your best player. And there are some good players, like for the Red Sox, of course. I mean, James mentioned a few. I mentioned Trevor Story, but
Oh, yeah.
I just think it would just water it down, and I would be more likely to pick up my remote control and do this. Click it off.
I have a better caveat. If the player that you select comes up and they get out,
Mhm.
then the inning is over. Like it doesn't matter what happens or how many outs.
I like
the
that.
inning is
Yeah,
automatically over
that might work.
because again, I just feel like that's just, as Chrissy said, it's just watering down the game
Mhm.
further. Like like
Yeah.
I said though, again, we've had the pitch clock, the ghost runner on second base. I know James said, yeah, it kind of gets the game over. I still think that there needs to be some semblance of tradition and regular rules of how we know that these sports are played, and not further making them worse because the game's going too long. If you don't like it, then don't go to a game.
Right.
Or you
So-
can only pick one person, and if he's out, he's out. You can't use him again, and you can't pick anyone else.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out how they would do that. Okay, let's say you have Shohei at DH for the Dodgers. You use him like in the 8th inning, bottom of the 8th. You move him. I mean, he's batting probably leadoff, right? So, okay, you use him with the bases loaded, bottom of the 8th, and it's the 7th place batter. Okay, what happens to that at bat? Does it just that order of the 7th hitter, that at bat just gets eliminated by Shohei? It's considered like a pinch hitter.
I couldn't tell you, James, and I doubt it will happen because the union will not sign off on this. I mean, if there's anything that we know, there's no way, no how that there's going to be that the players will not agree to that whatsoever. It's a gimmick, is all that it is essentially.
It is.
It's a gimmick just to maybe make baseball more interesting. But again, it waters down the product. And like I said, though, the players won't sign off. And also, James, all the stadium scorekeepers gonna be like, what do we do?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I just think that you're adding way too much confusion
Mhm.
for a game that's as low, slow, and boring as baseball is and can be.
I like this. What Tim mentioned, he would love to see the hitter using the golden at bat get intentionally walked.
That should end the inning too. That should end the
there
inning
you
too.
go.
Honestly,
If the person with the golden bat gets intentionally walk, inning's over. That's it.
Now, what would be a cool deal for the opposing team? Be like, hey, if you're playing like a 3-game series and it's the first game or second game, okay, that player cannot play the next day. I think that would be
something.
cool.
That would be.
The only thing is too, like the person they're replacing at bat, you're not seeing if he could actually like come through.
Right.
That would be also a problem for that player's confidence too. But hopefully none of this will matter. Hopefully none of it will happen.
Yeah, no way.
Please.
No how, don't even
Oh,
bother.
no.
So let's go college football. The AP poll came out today, and I don't want to read the playoff bracket because of course it could all change. But really quick, we'll run through the top 25, I guess. The Oregon got number 1, of course, 62 votes, first place votes. They're the only undefeated, 12-0 there. Number 2 is Texas. They went up 3 spots. Penn State is number 3. They went up from 4 to 3. Let's see. Notre Dame went to 4. But again, they're not in the conference, so
They're
they
independent.
cannot. Yeah, so they can't get one of those 4 spots. Georgia went up 6 spots at number 5. Tennessee's number 6. Ohio State went down from 2 to 7 with that
losing to Michigan.
crazy loss against against Michigan. SMU, which I'm really happy for, went up to 8. Indiana's number 9. Boise State number 10. Alabama's 11. I thought they were done. Really proud of what Arizona State has done this year in their first year in Big 12. They're number 12. South Carolina 13. They went up 3 spots. Miami, the U, went down because of their loss at Syracuse, which was awesome to see. They went from 8 to 14. Ole Miss stayed right there at 15. Iowa State 16, BYU 17, Clemson 18, UNLV 19, Colorado at number 20, 21 was Illinois, 22 Missouri, 23 Syracuse. I don't think I've seen Syracuse ranked in football in forever. Army stays in there at number 24, and Memphis is 25. So that's really cool to see. Any shockers maybe in this poll, or at least in the top 12? I'm trying to think, like maybe Alabama getting back in, even though they have the 3 losses they have and only 9 wins. I think that was the one for me. Seeing how far Ohio State dropped and knowing that they won't be in their Big Ten championship, that's going to be, of course, Oregon and Penn State, 1 versus 3. Can't get any better than that. I think it's in the SEC, it's going to be Texas and Georgia again. I believe going to play each other. And me and Chris covered the first one, of course.
Remember, the conference championships of the SEC, ACC, Big 10, Big 12 get automatic bids.
Right.
That's an important thing here. Chris, how'd you feel about this AP poll? Do you think they got it right? The first 12 at least?
I think so. I think that you'll see Alabama somewhere in 5 through 12. I don't think they're going to fall farther down. I just think they'll sneak in somewhere.
Yeah. Chrissy, how about you? You see Texas should have, gone up to number 2 with Ohio State losing like they did?
I mean, it would have made sense if they did, but, that's not how these AP polls actually work. Gotta love when the Qs beat the class. No, the big surprise for me, Notre Dame at number 4. It's been a long time since they've been in that position to where they could make college football playoffs at number 4. It's been a long time.
I would like to see SMU
that was definitely
move
surprise
up
for me.
Yeah.
if they win their championship.
Yep.
Yeah, SMU, they're doing so much, and they're going to have so much more. They put a lot of
Mhm.
money into it, and it's going to be hopefully going to be a great thing. Tim also mentions that he loves seeing, or what I think a 2-loss Ohio State team should be ranked behind a 1-loss Indiana. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, I think that's right.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I see that. Callan, okay, I got a different question for you because, man, we had just a storm of players getting out of hand with flags, with fighting, and it just became like a viral sensation. Oh, it happened here. Let's go do it here. And you're in the college sports world, and you see you don't see it happen probably in the sports you cover. But what did you think about all that craziness that was going on, and just how all these games had all these different types of fights and flag, polling and all that going on, and the spray at the OSU game? Just when you saw that, what the hell did you think of when you thought of college sports?
Uh, and James, I talked to a lot of my colleagues the next day after the rivalry games ended when I was at USD covering our round 3 game for men's soccer. The sentiment that I got from coworkers at the university, even friends of mine who are colleagues of mine in local radio and TV here in town, they all in a roundabout way called it a dark day and a black eye for college football. And not necessarily all of college athletics, but a very dark day, just really a bad day for college football. Just with, yeah, there's rivalries. Yes, there is passion. Yes, you want to go out there and beat, the other team. But this is easily, I think, guys, the worst single day in college football when it's boiled down to how out of control these things got. And I've heard a lot of garbage takes from fans who have not been in that sort of spot with their lack of playing credentials. And again, I'm not saying that my credentials speak for themselves though, but having been a part of rivalry games in some fashion, there's a level that you go to, but you also keep things respectful. And thankfully, that's how things were when I played high school baseball. We had a very fun but competitive rivalry with one of the schools we played, though, but it was never this out of control. And I don't know if it's the fact that now that we're in 2024 and that things have changed when it comes to kids in general. But regardless, I do think, though, James, to kind of answer your question, is that the sentiment, though, is simple. It was a very bleak, dark, sad day for college football. That a lot of these great finishes and great games that we saw, or that you all saw because I was working all day on Saturday, the fact that the game is not even front page news. It's pictures of kids getting pepper sprayed by the Columbus Police Department.
Ooh.
It's Steve Sarkisian acting like air traffic control. You're staying put. You're not coming on this field to plant your flag, here at College Station and telling his team, get in the locker room right now. Do not even think about it. What happened with UNC and NC State with the Tar Heel player hucking the flag of NC State out of bounds, basically. Then a full fist fight breaks out. The main thing I'm getting at here, this is not professional sports. You can't go to levels like this. These are,
No.
this is college amateur athletics. There is a major, major stark difference. I don't want to hear about unwritten rules and running up the score and this or that. This is college athletics. These are still young, immature kids, 18, 19, 20, 21 years old, who are not there yet. Though you can say, well, college athletics is basically becoming the pros because of the portal and this. It's still amateur sports.
It is.
There is still a fine line in the sand when it comes to how you act when you play a arch rival university, when it comes to Michigan playing Ohio State. And I think that the images, though, of the 2 Michigan players who, were sprayed by the Columbus Police Department, Steve Sarkisian telling his team, get your ass in the locker room. You're not coming out here to plant our flag. That's not what we do at this university. And the only punishment I think I saw was the $100,000 fine given to both Ohio State and Michigan. I think that's probably about all you can do because you can't really penalize the players except maybe suspend them for the postseason, but then, we're going to lose ratings, we're going to lose this, we're going to lose that. Again, the main point is simple. College athletics is not like pro sports. You can't be out here acting like how the Padres may have acted in people's minds in Game 2 of the NLDS. There still is that fine line. There is still that line in the sand. Again, this is still amateur, in a way, amateur/youth sports in some very roundabout way, where a lot of these kids, like I said, they're young, they're immature, they think it's cool, and at the end of the day, it's not. And mercifully, a lot of those kids probably dodged a lot of punishment because only the schools got the fine. But, James, I think you and I talked on C2C at night one time about field and court storming, man, is a very much tired act when it comes to a program winning a game and then storming the court, as Creighton did beating Kansas tonight in Omaha in men's basketball, where number one loses. All the Creighton students come onto the floor, in Omaha today. Thankfully, no one got hurt. But I think, though, as we had said, though, or as I said last season, when we had Caitlin Clark get injured by a Ohio State fan, when, in fact, they stormed the court when Iowa got beat by Ohio State, or when Kyle Filipkowski was injured by, I believe, either Wake Forest fans after they were upset, and he jarred his ankle because a fan stepped on him and kind of in a way like also forearm shivered him. Like I said, though, before, do we have to have repeats of LeGarrette Blount sucker punching the fan of Boise State from years ago, or Cal Stanford with the band? Again, I know it was players getting at it, but there is still, though, some sort of amateurism that is involved here where you can't be popping off like this. Now, it could be about guys' neighborhoods or, where they're from. Again, that's besides the point. Like, I get, like, for example, about the guy who struck Trevor Lawrence. I think he, in his apology, kind of pulled out the race card and the religion card and stuff like that. Like, okay, I get that, but that's not an excuse, though, for you being a repeat offender. And, Tim, I mean, you could say about them finding the players, but at the end of the day, though, Tim, some of these schools, for example, don't have big NILs in place where you can find the players for their actions. Like, maybe you can afford to do that, but then it become a very uneven playing field if you can only find players who go to Michigan. So, though I get where you're coming from, I think it would still have to be like a regular suspension of a game or a public apology of some type, but you can't be finding kids NIL money, or docking their NIL pay, because that's a separate ordeal for endorsements more than it is about their actual game checks coming in. So I catch your drift, but that's not the route I would go down. I think that there would have to be a regular game or 2 game suspension, because NIL money is not quite what we think it should be. And also, when you work at a mid-major school like I do, you don't have a whole lot of that at your disposal yet. If you happen to find San Diego, for example, if they beat Gonzaga in men's basketball and they storm the court.
Yeah, to close all this up, the Reddit college football account on X mentioned at least 22 FBS teams are involved in some kind of on-field brawls, fisticuffs, or other extracurricular physical violence this week. Congrats to all. And they listed all the teams or all the matchups there. Yes. So 11 games had some type of activity in it. Yeah,
and again, it's still amateur sports. I mean, I know we're in this weird universe now. Well, hey, the Pac-12 doesn't exist. Callan may be right here about realignment not working. Yes, I'm going to be right about it. But also now players are getting paid, with NIL. Again, this is still the NCAA. Like, there's still some sort of academics is tied to this. Amateur athletics is still tied to this. So, whatever else might be said, I don't think I can agree with that, because it's just, I don't know. Again, it was a very depressing day if you're a college football fan, which I'm not. But it sucks. I mean, it really sucks, because I think it overshadowed and overclouded what was a great day of football that you guys got to watch. And all we're talking about is what happened with Michigan, Ohio State, and college students were pepper sprayed by the police because their emotions of beating the arch rival university got the better of them on a given Saturday.
By the way, 2 mascots threw some punches: the Sun Devil and the Wildcat.
That's a tradition every year with ASU and U of A. Give me a break.
I forgot about that. They also showed that. I was like, oh yeah, I remember those two.
The mascot started throwing hands there.
That was
And
just
that's
crazy.
tradition for ASU and U of A, sadly.
It's true.
So they added in two what went on. The NBA's been going on. And the NBA Cup.
NBA Cup quarters, baby. Here we go.
The quarterfinals are coming. The Eastern Conference. Next Tuesday.
Name the damn tournament after me already, NBA. Good God. No one on this panel likes it except for me. Give me my damn money.
December 10th. Orlando
Yeah.
Magic, Milwaukee Bucks. And then in the Western bracket on Tuesday, it will be Dallas and the Thunder. Wednesday will be Atlanta and New York, and then Golden State and Houston. So that's going to be fun. Those 2 days next week, Tuesday and Wednesday. And I think one thing about this NBA Cup thing, and they mentioned this on Inside, I think yesterday, and Kenny Smith mentioned it, where it helped Indiana prevail to get to that cup, but lose to the Lakers, yes. But it helped them continue to get better and then make a good playoff run. It did help them in some way. But it's just weird how it didn't really help the Lakers. They just, we won this, and then they went on with the season. And they're doing so bad right now. Well, not bad, but...
Well, they're not doing great right now.
They scored 80 points yesterday, which that hasn't happened since 2017 for the Lakers. Yeah. 80 points in this era, that's like a quarter and a half for some teams.
Yep.
But for teams like Orlando, they're coming in hot. Milwaukee's coming in hot. Thunder at the top. Dallas is really good. The Hawks kind of need this more than anyone because they're always in the middle, but not really. They're more of a playing team. Knicks are really good. Golden State, you didn't really know what they were going to be without like Klay Thompson, but they're doing so well. And then the surprise of everybody is probably the Houston Rockets. You have Van Fleet, but you also have the young guys there doing well. And it's such a shocker, I think, to see Houston in it. Okay, I'll get to it right now. Who do you think goes to the NBA Cup and wins it out of the East and West? How about you, Callan, first?
Yeah, I mean, I saw the bracket and I was very intrigued. Orlando, by the way, got in because of point differential. Boston had to have them lose by 37, and that did not happen.
No.
And again, I know I'm the only person on this panel who likes the NBA Cup. Again, I was on my couch, sitting on my ass, watching NBA TV do crunch time, and then go from game to game to game last night to show all the action. And I was losing it watching Philly play Charlotte for the last game there because that went back and forth at the very end. And then they kept cutting though to the New York or Orlando game because they kept saying Boston has to have them lose by 37 to make it in. Like, okay, some early season drama here in December. I know James has the smug look on his face, but again, this is just, I think, what the NBA needs for early season TV viewership. I know that the ratings still dip every so often now, but now here we go again. There's going to be probably a small market franchise, Atlanta or Houston. Someone out there is going to get to this final in some capacity and either win or lose it and get their fan base behind them. Again, like I said, if you're a multi-billion-dollar industry and if you want sustained success and you want to get people involved every single day, basically for the season, then this is why the NBA Cup works out, in my opinion. Because, and not just that, every team who gets in gets some sort of payday bump, especially like the Hawks, like Orlando, like Houston, even Milwaukee in some capacity. But I think, though, if I was to pick, I mean, as much as Golden State might be like my Western Conference, pick, though I know that, Oklahoma City's had a great start, though. But like James kind of said, though, this kind of could be a fork in the road, though, for whoever wins this, wins the cup. Either you're going to improve your regular season or the kind of, in a way, NBA Cup jinx already comes to fruition that you kind of poured your heart and soul into the first 3 months. Oh, now we're not going to make the playoffs. We're not going to do very well. But I'm looking more at like Atlanta kind of being a favorite for me, just because, again, I'm looking about where the pay would be. if they somehow win it all this year over the Rockets or whoever comes out of the West, that would be, huge for that franchise though. But in general, I think it's a little bit tough to bet against like Oklahoma City, maybe even a team like Golden State, who's been doing it without Clay, as James alluded to. But out West, you know what? Give me Houston, and then out East, as much as I love Milwaukee, I'll probably go Orlando because they don't have Paolo right now at this time still.
Yeah, and it's amazing what they've been able to do without Paolo Banchero. They've been actually playing better without him. It's the weirdest thing.
Yeah, who would have thunk that, though, without having your star player and everyone else kind of picks up the load 10, 15% to go to help out.
The Wagner boys are doing well. Well, Franz Wagner is the main scorer now, and he's been amazing. Chris, do you watch the NBA Cup? Are you interested in it at all?
Me?
Yeah.
Am I unmuted? Oh, there we go.
Yeah, we can hear you.
I watched the I watched the NBA a little bit. Haven't watched much this season. NBA Cup's usually interesting. Hoping the Mavericks go all the way, or at least to the end. And then after that, I'm not sure who else would be their opponents, but hopefully the Mavericks will get into the finals. They're in the quarterfinals.
Make up for that. Make up for the NBA. Making up for losing the finals last year. That'd be a nice consolation prize.
Yeah. Christy, do you think the WNBA
yeah.
should adapt something like this? They already do that.
They already have something called the Commissioner's Cup in the WNBA.
That's it.
Yeah,
Who won that in last season's WNBA?
I think they've had the Commissioner's Cup for 2-3 seasons, I think. Maybe longer than that.
Did Vegas win that?
I can't remember. Yeah, I think
that's what I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, how did it seem like it was more successful in the WNBA than it was in the NBA?
It looks that way, yeah, because the teams who usually are in there usually have had usually been very successful. So,
and usually it's been a finals
going to the
rematch
finals
too.
and all that.
Yeah,
that's what I was wondering. Maybe get Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese in there. That'd be cool.
The first game on May 17th is Indiana-Chicago again. So there you go. Next season.
God.
I'm watching that.
Yeah.
I can't wait for that.
I'm gonna be excited for that one. I'll wear one of my Indiana Fever T-shirts for that one.
Hopefully, Chris Brink will be back off of her injury. I loved watching her play. She had the defensive mindset, what she had at Stanford. It was amazing. She's like a volleyball player out there. The way she's that tall, and then she's just blocking every shot, almost rebounding, scoring. She's great. Okay, so our last topic, and it deals with the NBA here. If you had a Mount Rushmore of NBA owners or chairmen of the board, whatever you want to say, there's 4, of course, faces. So for me, I'll guess I'll go first. So of course you have to have Dr. Jerry Buss, the owner of the Lakers back in the day, who just made Showtime happen, where had some things at the Forum that nobody else had, which was, the Laker girls. People had cheerleaders, but never like a whole dance team. Yeah. And that was
Paula Abdul.
Yeah, Paula Abdul. Choreographer those of the Laker girls before having her own successful career in music.
Yeah, so just think of that and all the just inventions that he pretty much brought into the league just because of him. Now everybody does something of his. So Red Auerbach would be another one. Of course, he coached the Celtics, and then he also became, I think, the first person to draft African Americans. So Bill Russell, Casey Jones, Pop Sanders. So that has to be noticed. And he just won all those championships, pretty much everything but 2008 and last year. He's been a part of all of that. I think Mark Cuban, just for the technology and for the treatment of players. Like I never heard, up until him, I've never heard of players having a personal chef, a private chef on their flights. That was the first time I heard that, and that was years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And now I think everyone does on the planes, because usually you get like, whatever the plane gave you, right?
Peanuts.
But it wasn't but it was like Salisbury steak and corn
jeez.
probably, and green beans,
Sounds
mac
like a
and
banquet
cheese.
dinner, actually.
Yeah, but to have like their own private chef on the Dallas Maverick plane, I when I heard that a long time ago, I was just blown away.
Yeah.
And you just think of the way it used to be and the way it is now. Now everybody has their own personal chef. So there's those three, and for me, it's between, of course, Jerry Colangelo and Steve Ballmer, because, of course, taking the Clippers from Staples Center to the new Intuit Dome this year is a big step for LA's other team. Jerry Colangelo, though, was the owner of the Phoenix Suns. He was a founder of the Phoenix Suns, and also the former owner of the Philadelphia 76ers.
Didn't he also help create the Toronto Raptors?
No, that was...
And he also helped start the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
There we go.
So, and
Not
also
not the Utah team?
No.
The Diamondbacks baseball team.
Oh, baseball, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He also helped start the USA basketball program. That's something to think of. All those years ago, all those gold medals and the one bronze medal in 2004. But he was a key figure in the creation of the WNBA and the NBA G League.
Right.
So I think he had more of an impact to the league. So I guess I would put him there over Ballmer. But Ballmer would be like the one that has a monument, down below, with like, I'm trying to think of other owners out there. Maybe what's his name for the Bulls back? Not
Jerry Krause.
Jerry
Reinsdorf.
Reinsdorf, yeah, but just for that era with the Bulls, but
6
not
championships
now.
with Michael Jordan. Oh my God.
Like that would be a whole like monument down below all the monuments. But I'm trying to think of others. I won't put like Dolan. Maybe I'll put the Detroit owner from the Bad Boys teams, the founder of oh God, I should know who it was. But the one that finally took the Pistons from like nothing to something. I'll put him in there. Goodness, I can't think of anybody else. But Callan, I guess I'll go to you here. What would be your Mount Rushmore of NBA owners?
I think you and I, great minds think alike, because I think we had the same 4. Dr. Buss has to be number 1. To bank off James's point, again, he got the Forum built in Inglewood, suburban Los Angeles, after they were, playing games here and there at the LA Sports Team when they first came from
Minnesota.
I think you froze. Yeah, you mentioned Dr. Buss and all his accomplishments, especially when moving the team from Minneapolis to LA and then getting them into the Forum in Inglewood, California. So,
okay, I guess we'll go to Christy on that.
Well, I think I'm in agreement with you there, James, because without Dr. Jerry Buss, I mean, you can't say Lakers without thinking of Dr. Buss and what he accomplished. And Mark Cuban, yeah, there was a lot of things that he did that were really great with the Mavericks. And then,
giving ownership
I definitely
to
agree with
Magic
everything else
something.
because I don't follow the NBA super closely, and so I don't know all the owners and everything. But definitely Jerry Colangelo was definitely another one you would put on there, and that's pretty much it.
Chris, would you have Mark Cuban number 1?
I would, only because he's the only owner really I know. I don't follow the ownership groups of the NBA as well as probably the NFL, but I'd probably
because in the NBA there's a lot of ownership groups. There's not a lot of like family-owned franchises or franchises owned by one individual.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right.
More common in the NFL though.
Well, guess what? We're past that hour mark. I love saying that for some reason. I don't think we'll have kicking it tomorrow. We'll see if that's the case because there's Thursday night football going, and I don't know what time I'll get home after work.
Yeah.
Hopefully, Ace will come back, but we hope everything is okay with the barbers going on right now.
Yeah.
Just pray a lot going on from what I've heard. But me and Chris will be back for Entertainment Hour on Friday with
I thought we
Randy.
were doing a round table, maybe.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
We threw it out there, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
we should do that then. I totally forgot because at the end of the months, we should do roundtable like we all talked about. Yeah, so we'll do roundtable. We got to remember how to do it. Me and Chris will probably talk
get the
about
word
that
out.
later.
Any of us show up for roundtable.
Yeah, we could put the word out in the private chat or the group chat, I should say, for Friday. Instead of Entertainment Hour, we'll do roundtable. So yeah, roundtable on Friday, morning tailgate on Sunday, and then Between the Ropes. I'm sorry, that's Sunday night, right?
Sunday.
Yeah.
Tripping.
Yep.
Okay.
My weekends
Monday.
are a lot more free now, so I can definitely get in and do Between the Ropes on Sundays.
Oh.
And I know there's a lot going on from what I've heard.
There has been. I think there's plenty to talk about, including news that's been coming out today concerning WWE and all that stuff.
They're moving to Netflix and all that.
Yep. Saturday night's main event. They got that going on next week, and they just announced a second episode coming up next month. Surprisingly, it's on my birthday, January 25th.
Oh, wow.
So. Nice.
I'm like, please, WWE, thank you.
I wish I knew more, but I don't.
Yeah.
So, with all that being said, we'll get to the final thoughts.
Back.
Oh, Callan back.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, gang. Phone the phone overheated, sadly.
Oh no!
On my phone tonight. Yeah. So to continue to continue, again, sorry for that. But I agree with James though about Jerry Buss regarding he has to be on the Mount Rushmore. Again, what he did to make the NBA what it kind of is. Again, the Laker girls, the Laker band that still I think plays every so often, at Crypto.com. And also, guys, he was the guy who invented courtside seats. Like no one ever had done that until Jerry Buss told the NBA, "Hey, I'm putting seats on the court," and they're like, "You can't do that." Well, I'm going to do it anyway.
Right, and next thing you know, Jack Nicholson sitting in one, and he's been there ever since.
And then it became Showtime. Michael Jackson being at games, Jack Nicholson being at games. All the celebrities coming out, to watch Laker basketball, and he really made the Lakers and the NBA into a sporting entertainment venture. Of course, the championships and the great players and so on and so forth. So I think that Jerry Buss is in fact on the Mount Rushmore. Red Auerbach has to be, again, probably the greatest, dynasty in NBA history, when he was owner and coach. Bill Russell coming out of San Francisco, 11 championships during his career. Again, kind of in a way breaking that color barrier in a way when Bill went to the Celtics in his career, playing with Boston, coaching Boston, being a part of the front office. I think Mark Cuban does have to be up there as well, just like, the new advances, I guess, that were made during his ownership are still with the Mavericks when it came to, like James said, regarding getting, a personal chef for players, nutritionists, kind of adding new stuff to, the NBA map. And then I think you have to go with Jerry Colangelo, a guy who took a shot at bringing in a franchise in a non-traditional basketball market, in Phoenix, Arizona. And how for a long time between 1968 until the Cardinals went there, they were the only show in town outside of Arizona State football. So they had a stranglehold on the market for so long. And, Jerry, though, being influential with, and just like Jerry Buss, influential owners who also put their money into women's basketball with the WNBA being founded, the NBA G League being started by them as well at one point in time. So I think those are my four, and I think honorable mentions would probably have to be the likes of Steve Ballmer for turning around such a fledgling organization who never really had a home. When they left Buffalo, then came to San Diego, then went to LA, they were always in the rearview mirror. when it comes to, their popularity. Now they have a $2 billion arena paid out of his pocket to give them an actual home court advantage, in the suburbs of LA, in Inglewood. I think those are the 4, like 5 most influential owners probably in my mind in the NBA.
Yeah, those are good owners. Me and Christy didn't really have much many picks, but
yeah, because the NBA is mostly a league owned by ownership groups, not like family owned franchises or franchises owned by one person, not like the NFL.
Yeah, and that's kind of where sports has gone. Those like more families have gotten involved. I mean, honestly, who else would probably be on my Mount Rushmore? And I know it's not one owner, but Kroenke Sports and Entertainment, the Rapids, the Avalanche, the Mammoth, the Nuggets, even the Rams, Arsenal, all their business ventures. But again, that's more of a group more than a stand itself, because Ann owns this team, the kids own these teams. Like it's very hard to do. But I think if there was like a group, like Mount Rushmore for groups, I definitely think that the Kroenkes would be up there. I think for every sport it seems to be.
It's kind of like with the Khan family down in Jacksonville. It's like Shad Khan owns the Jacksonville Jaguars, and his son Tony is active with Fulham FC and All Elite Wrestling. So there's that as well.
I mean, in baseball terms, like Peter Seidler, but now it's his family who's running the Padres, who I think would be up there just for the fact of San Diego hasn't won, but they kind of in a way broke the mold of small markets deserve to spend money and actually give their fans a good product to watch on the field.
Yeah.
That's true, they have. With that, any final thoughts, Callan?
No, thanks. Glad I was able to hop on for a bit. Sorry about the tech problems. The phone just got way too hot. Like it was like, oh my goodness, it was playing like hot potato. With that in mind, I'll be off the remainder of the week to fulfill work obligations Thursday and Friday, but we'll come back at you with our regular programming with C2C at night and Press Row next Monday and Tuesday.
Yeah, James jumped off because his power went out.
Oh,
so,
yikes.
Again?
Yeah. Oh, no.
But Christy?
No, just thank everyone for watching, and just stay tuned for all great C2C content like C2C at night, Press Row, Between the Ropes, obviously. So,
yeah.
I need a recap of War Games. Let's go. I've been
waiting. We'll give it to you on Sunday, that's for sure.
I'm kidding.
Because it was so much fun.
But yeah, thanks everyone for watching, tuning in. We'll be back for another sports hour and all of our great shows here on C2C. And with that, have a great week.
Have a good night, everybody.